Greetings and salutations, Eddie here, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be presenting a book review. And today's book review is Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare, Rees Brennan, Maureen Johnson, Kelly Link, and Robin Wasserman. So this is a collection of short stories set in the Shadowhunter world, which we follow Jem Carstairs as he's traveling through the market to find a relic from his past. And so we get to explore different stories following different characters in different time periods as well. So I started reading these stories summer of 2020 because I don't really like reading short stories. I like to listen to them more because I feel like I would appreciate them more. So I listened to all of them except for the last two stories because they were released when the actual book was coming out. These books were released one by one via ebook. But yeah, so I'll just talk about each story. So I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars just as a total of the stories ranking together. So anyways, let's get right into it. I'll post the covers over here of the different stories. Okay, so listen to them via Audible, which you guys have not tried Audible, please go ahead and do that. So the first story is Cast Long Shadows, which is by Cassandra Clare and Rees Brennan, and this one was narrated by Jonathan Bailey. So Matthew Fairchild is the consul's son, and the golden-haired boy of the Nephilim. He has the love of his family and his parabatai, James Herondale, and nothing to wish for except excitement and artistry and beauty that do not seem to fit in with warrior's way of life. Matthew gets more than he bargained for at the Shadow Market, where he commits the greatest sin of his life, something he could never tell his parabatai or any of the honorable Shadowhunters around him. Overall, I did not like the story. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't like a terrible story, it just was not my favorite. It's actually my least favorite of the stories. I just didn't really connect with Matthew Fairchild. I really didn't connect with that. I think that the writing is excellent. I've not read, I can only tell just Cassandra Clare's writing. I couldn't tell Sarah Rees Brennan's writing. I have read Sarah Rees Brennan's Lindburn Legacy, which was fabulous. If you have not read that trilogy, it's awesome. But I can only see Cassandra Clare's writing. And I guess that's fair, and I guess that's okay, considering this is her world. I just didn't really like this story. When was this set? Hold on. So this was set in 1901. I think it's connected to Chain of Gold, which is the first book of the Last Hour series, I think. I think a lot of them are connected to the Last Hours. But this one was just not for me. So the next one is Every Exquisite Thing by Cassandra Clare and Maureen Johnson. This one was narrated by Laura Pulver. And this one is about the eldest child of Gabriel and Cecily Lightwood. Their daughter, Anna Lightwood, is a Shadowhunter. She is mad, bad, and dangerously dapper. Every rake has an origin story, though. Now, under Brother Zachariah's eye, we see Anna's doomed love story unfold. And this one I gave, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars. I did like this story. I did. I think that when you're writing a LGBT character in Victorian era or the Edwardian era, you have to be really careful, or you have to do research, because not everybody back then was accepted for being gay, lesbian, or bisexual. But I think in the case of our leading character and her love interest, Ariadne, I think the way that it was handled, I think it was very sensitive. And by the end of the story, spoilers, Anna's mom, Cecily, does find out that she is gay, and she has no problem with it. And it's sweet, but it's also unfortunate because not every parent back then was as accepting as Anna's mom. But I really do love this story. I think Anna makes an appearance in Chain of Gold. Next is my second favorite story, and that's Learn About Loss, which was by Cassandra Clare and Kelly Link. This one was narrated by Ross Butler. And this one follows Brother Zachariah, Jem Carstairs, and Iron Sister Amelia in Chattanooga. And I love this story. I gave it a 4.5, maybe 5 stars. I love this story just because of how reminiscent. Oh, God, look at this. Just because of how reminiscent it was to the Infernal Devices. And by the end of it, I was emotional. I was not expecting to be as emotional as I was. But it was really, really good. I love this story. However, spoilers, Will Herondale does make an appearance at the end, and Ross Butler gave him an American accent, which we all know Will is British. So that's the only bad thing about this story. But overall, this was a really great story. Ross Butler did a really great job narrating. I love this story. Next is A Deeper Love, which was actually the last one that I listened to. Yeah, so this one was by Cassandra Clare and Maureen Johnson. This was narrated by Kiersey Clemens, who was cast as Iris West in Justice League. It has only been 3 years since Tessa Gray lost her beloved husband Will, and she is searching for a reason to live, trying to find the path of being a warlock with the guidance of her friend Katarina Lost. World War II rains down destruction on their world, and Tessa and Katarina become nurses who make bargains at the shadow market for enchantments to help suffering mundanes. But can Brother Zachariah bear to see the woman he loves risk her life, or might he consider breaking sacred vows to save her from loneliness? So any story set in this world, I think, is going to be really interesting, and I did enjoy the story. I think that the interactions between Katarina Lost and Tessa was really, really fun and really interesting. And I forgot what I rated this. I think I rated it at 4 stars. I think this is a really well done story. It's not my favorite, but I think that the shadow market being used during World War II was really, really, really fun to read about. Next is my favorite story, and that's The Wicked Ones, which which was actually the first one that I listened to. This one is by Cassandra Clare and Robin Wasserman, and narrated by Emily Bett-Rickards, who, if you guys don't know, she played Felicity on Arrow, which is one of my absolute favorite shows. Okay, so let me just read the description. So, Celine Montclair goes to the shadow market to escape. She would go anywhere in Paris or the entire world to escape the suffering she experiences at the hands of her family. She did not expect to meet Valentine Morgenstern there, or to have him promise her freedom in the heart of the man she secretly loves. On one condition, of course. At the shadow market, nothing is free. Nothing is for free. I really, really, really like this story. I mainly love it just because the narrator plays one of my favorite characters on Arrow, but I also just love Paris. Anything set in Paris, I love. I think that Celine Montclair was a really interesting character, and I think Valentine, as much as I hate him, I can't stop reading about him because I kind of like reading about him even though I hate him. And also, just the writing is great, the world building is great, I love this story. Next is Son of the Dawn by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Rees Brennan. This narrated by Riley Dolman. Okay. The Lightwoods, the Shadowhunters who run the New York Institute, are expecting a new addition to their family, the orphan son of their father's friend, Jace Whalen. So, Isabel and Alec aren't too sure they want a new brother, and their parents are not, I don't know what that word is, their fears too occupied with the dark news that Rafael Santiago, second in command of the New York Vampire Institute, or Clan, has brought from the shadow market. I kind of like this story. I can't remember exactly what happens in it. I think learning about how Jace became part of the Lightwood family was something that I really wanted to read about for so long, and I got it, and I really did like it, but I don't exactly remember scene for scene what happened. But also Rafael Santiago. I love Rafael Santiago. Love him. The Land I Lost is next, and this story is by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Rees Brennan. This was narrated by Melissa Fumero. I think it's Fumero. I think is how you say the name. This was the longest of the short stories. This one is 3 hours and 35 minutes. Do you see that? It's crazy. So in this one we follow Alec and Magnus. Alec goes to the Buenos Aires Institute because he got a fire message. And there we find out that, and there, Alec meets this young boy named Raphael, and I just love this story. I think the story was really well done. Anything with Alec and Magnus, while Alec isn't my favorite, Magnus is like one of my absolute favorites. I think I love this story the most because of the interactions between Alec and Magnus. I love the setting. I love the setting. I love Alec's interactions with Raphael and Lily Chen, who is a vampire. I just really enjoyed this story. The next is Through Blood, Through Fire. This one's narrated by Candace King, who played Caroline on the Vampire Diaries. This one is about Jem and Tessa, and I loved this story. I think the story was awesome. Let me actually read what the story is about. Jem Carstairs and Tessa Gray are finally united after waiting a century to be together, but they become aware a dark threat is looming over a child of the shadow market, a lost Herondale from a line of Herondales who have used the market to hide from their fellow Nephilim. Now is the time for the lost Herondale to be discovered. Jem and Tessa have to find him before his enemies can. And obviously, if any of you read The Dark Artifices, spoilers, it's Kit, obviously. I really love this story because, like, what was the other one? I mentioned another one that was very reminiscent. I think it was either Learn About Loss or A Deeper Love, one of those two. It was very reminiscent considering that, you know, they kept talking about Will and, you know, when Tessa first arrived in London and when Jem was a Shadowhunter. It was just so sweet. I really loved this story. It was really fun to read it was really fun to listen to. The last two stories I read because I couldn't listen to them, are set after The Dark Artifices. So, if you have not read The Dark Artifices, skedaddle. Just forewarning. Okay, so the first one is The Lost World by Cassandra Clare and Kelly Link. Here it is. And it follows Ty Blackthorne at the Skullman's, I think is how you say it, and the ghost of his sister Livy, who was killed in Lord of Shadows. This story was really, really short, and I, for some reason, did not enjoy this story as much as I thought, considering how much I love Ty. I don't know, I just don't know how I feel about it yet. I think I'm still bitter about the ending Queen of Air and Darkness, where him and Kit were separated, but there's that. It's not a bad story. It's not a bad story in the slightest. It's just not for me. I did enjoy Livy's reading about Livy's ghost like tasks, I guess, like scaring people. Like when she scared Kit, I thought that was funny. I still don't know how I feel about the Skullman's. I hope I'm saying that right. The Skullman's yet. I just don't know yet. But it made me even more excited for the Wicked Powers. As long as I get Kit and Ty back, I'll be good with that. And the last one was one I did not expect to love. And that was Forever Fallen by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Rees Brennan, which is set a year after The Dark Artifices. So the Dark Artifice is set in 2012. This one's set 2013, so a year later. I was nervous because this was about the Jace from Thule. I don't like Thule, as you guys know. If I could not read about Thule again, I'll be good. But that's not even what the story was about, really. This story was really about Kit and Jem and Tessa. Well, that's one of the stories, but I guess another story was about Jace and from Thule and whatever. Spoilers. So, Jem and Tessa have their child, Mina, whose real name I will not try to pronounce, but that poor baby has more name than a body. That poor baby. But this was going to be a 3-star, but the interaction between Kit and Mina, my cinnamon roll does so well around babies. I could not give this a 4. I could not give this a 4-star. I loved him playing with Mina. So when him and Kit, I'm just saying that they are going to get together, okay? Don't try to change my mind. They're going to get together, okay? It's gonna happen. So that was the only part of this short story that I actually liked. The Jace from Thule, man, if I could just, here's the thing about Thule. It's not necessarily a terrible story concept. It was really, the concept is great. It's just that I did not like it. I didn't like how it was executed. And I don't like the idea of that this could play more into the Wicked Powers. And if this plays more into the Wicked Powers, I'm going to be mad. Because the Thule section in Queen of Air and Darkness was so damn long and I was utterly uninterested. But like I said, the concept is great. It's just that I don't think it was executed well, in my opinion. That's all. But I am excited for the Wicked Powers, though. These two short stories, The Lost World and Forever Fallen, made me excited for the Wicked Powers. Anyways, that was my review of Ghost of the Shadow Market. So by default, it is a 5 stars, just as a total of the rankings, or of the ratings. So let me just tell you how I ranked the stories. My order goes like this. I'll stand up here. The Wicked Ones. Learn about loss. Through Blood, Through Fire. Every Exquisite Thing. The Land I Lost. Son of the Dawn. A Deeper Love. Forever Fallen. The Lost World. And Cast Long Shadows. Those are that's my rating of these stories. If you have read any of these short stories, let me know what you thought of them down below. Did you enjoy Ghost of the Shadow Market as a whole? Are you excited for the Wicked Powers? Have you read Chain of Gold? Let me know. For more content, subscribe button is right over there. I hope you guys have a great day and a great weekend. I'll see everyone soon in my next video. Deuces.